Bonjour à tous, on se retrouve aujourd'hui avec une interview de Ruta Sepetys pour son nouvel livre, le Sel de nos larmes, apparaît donc chez Gallimard Scripto le 16 juin. Ruta, hi!
Hi!
Thank you so much for accepting to do the interview.
Thank you for the invitation, I'm so happy.
Your new book is coming out the 16th.
Yes.
Are you excited?
I'm so excited. I'm so excited and so excited to be back in France. Yeah.
Maybe you could explain to the viewers what your book is about?
Definitely. My book is set at the end of World War II in winter of 1945, and it follows the journey of 4 teenagers. We have 2 guys and 2 girls, and they're all hunted and haunted by tragedy and lies and war. And their fates converge as they arrive at the port during an evacuation and have to board this doomed ship called the Wilhelm Gustloff. This is the single largest maritime disaster in history, larger than the Titanic. It's been a secret of history, and now I'm writing about it. And in order to find out who survives, you have to read the book.
So this is your second book about World War II.
Yes.
The first one was Ce qui n'ont pas pu nous prendre, so Between Shades of Grey.
Yep.
What motivated you to write about this period and about this subject?
I think first I'm drawn to World War II because it affected my family. My father was born in Lithuania and fled when he was just a child and spent the war on the run as a refugee. He spent 9 years in refugee camps before being allowed to come to the United States. So because I have a family connection to it and looking at the photography from this era and seeing my family in these images of World War II, it's something that's has a resonance for me. But also I find that in World War II there are so many hidden stories, and the stories are stories of hope and courage and love. I'm a romantic, so I find all of these themes in World War II.
What was your process documenting and everything, and what influence had it into the story and in your writing? Sorry.
I have to say I'm a little bit crazy when it comes to research, so I have to preface this by saying that. But research is really my favorite part, and it's a huge part of the process. I spent 3 years researching and writing the novel. I traveled to 6 different countries. I interviewed people who had passage on the ship. I interviewed families who lost their family members on the ship. I met with divers who had explored the shipwreck. I read everything imaginable that existed, not only fiction and nonfiction, but historical reports and journals and some people's diaries. And so what I do is I inhale all of this information, and then as I'm inhaling it, I'm exhaling it and I'm writing about it. Because I feel like if I research and write at the same time, then that sense of emotional immediacy, whether it's joy or pain, it'll be contained.
Yeah, you stay connected with the story.
Exactly,
Yeah.
I hope. That's what I'm trying to do, is not only that I stay connected, but I can suck the reader in, and then we're connected together.
The books talk about a population that is fleeing our country, basically Poland and Lithuania.
Yep.
And that resonates in the actual time because there's major refugee crisis in Europe.
Yeah.
So what does it make you feel writing about it?
It's actually incredible because when I wrote the book, started writing the book, 3 years ago, I never knew that we would be amidst this refugee crisis. But it has special importance to me, as I said, because I'm the daughter of a refugee, and my father was a refugee. And I think, at least in the United States, I can say that many people don't have direct or recent experience with occupation, with armed conflict. And so this idea of a refugee, it's frightening to some people. They don't understand it. And I'm so happy that I'm able to talk about this in Salt to the Sea, because I always ask, as the daughter of a refugee, don't I owe it to those who came before me to extend a hand to those who follow? And books are a really powerful way of sharing information. Suddenly, if someone is reading about the refugee crisis in the newspaper, they're seeing statistics and a news story. But maybe through the novel, suddenly these statistics can become human.
Yeah, that's more human.
Yes, and I had a reader who emailed me and said, you know, I've heard this term refugee, and I read your book and Florian and Johanna, and now I understand that the refugee can take many faces, and so for me that's important, and I often ask myself, who are those people? I don't think any human being gets up and leaves everything they've ever known and loved behind, unless this is, you know, they're running for their lives. And so for me, it has a special importance, and it was completely an accident, but I'm really grateful for it. You know, that timing.
So what can you say about every character that you created in your book, and how did you create them?
What I do to create the characters, which is really my favorite part, because, you know, the history already exists, and but I get to create the characters, you know, and wrap these fictional characters around the history. So it's my favorite part. So what I generally do is I'll interview tons of people, and then I'll take little elements from different people and weave them together. So that way, I'm not just telling one person's story. I'm representing a greater human experience, and my hope is that maybe someone who experienced this time period, that they would read this, and whether it was their grandmother or their mother or father, or even elderly people who are reading about their own experience, that they would say, oh my gosh, that happened to me. So that's the first section. But then, you know, I have to create these characters, and some of them are pure magic. Like this character of the shoe poet in the book. So we have the shoe poet, and I was traveling in Italy on a book tour, and the shoe poet came to me when I was walking on a street in Rome, and so I ran back to my hotel and I wrote down everything about the shoe poet, and then like the character of the wandering boy reminded me of my own father, who was a little boy, you know, battling this beast of war on his own, you know, these innocent children. And then the character of Johanna, the Lithuanian nurse, was inspired by a woman who actually survived the sinking. She was a nurse and lived the remainder of her life in England. And her daughter helped me with my research and shared photographs of her mother. And she was so brave. And readers often ask, they say, so, you know, Ruta, when you're writing the book, are you the main character? I wish I was the main character. No, these characters are heroes and they're brave, and but I think I write characters that I would love to be like. And so Johanna is so brave, and Emilia represents the sacrifice of Poland. I didn't know much about Polish history, and it's very close to Lithuania. You know, the country geographically is very close. And I learned so much, and I was so inspired by the generosity and courage of Poland that I created this character of Emilia to represent that. And then there are elements like even the stork, which is the national bird of Lithuania. I put that in as a, you know, and then we have Florian, the Prussian art thief. And, you know, of course I needed a heartthrob character.
Yeah, of course.
I needed a cute guy. And of course, Florian is you know, inspired by some great guys that I know. And some of my friends have read the character Florian, and they've emailed and be like, wow, we know what you did. And then, of course, there's Alfred.
Oh, yeah. I was going to ask you about Alfred.
Yes, of course.
Talk about Alfred.
Yes, Alfred is the most discussed character.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy about that, because in Alfred, we can ask the question, does war make us evil? Yeah. Or does war activate an evil that lives inside of us?
Yeah, emphasize the evil in us. Yeah.
Exactly. And so with Alfred, I wanted to ask that question. I didn't want to portray the sympathetic Nazi. I've seen in different, you know, movies and books that that there was this sympathetic side, but I thought, wait, no. What if I explore this evil? And also explore a young person who's in this Nazi machinery, and you know what happens. And I think we can see throughout history that when we isolate young people and we dehumanize them, how dangerous that becomes. And so it's interesting. Did you feel sorry for Alfred?
Absolutely not.
You did? Because I wonder if your viewers, do you feel sorry for Alfred? Let us know. Because some people, they said, oh, I felt really sorry for him. And Alfred was probably the character that was revised the most.
Yeah.
And I don't know what this means, but of writing all the 4 voices, Alfred was the easiest character to write.
Oh.
So what does that say about me? I don't know. It's really weird.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed him. I enjoyed discussing him. Of all the characters, he is the one that is the most discussed.
He's an anti-hero, so that's something that maybe I thought it was hard to write, but apparently not.
Well, actually, it wasn't. I studied the adolescence of Adolf Hitler and Hitler as a teenager, and I borrowed some of the stories and some of the traits, of Hitler growing up to create Alfred.
Yeah,
so.
I knew it.
You did?
Yeah, when I was reading it, I said, "Oh, that's Hitler." I mean, he was an art lover.
Yes.
He tried to. Alfred is basically someone who thinks a lot, who likes to
interior thinking.
Yeah, who likes to say that he's a documentalist and everything.
Exactly.
So that's crazy. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad you.
You did a great
job.
Thank you.
About it. No, but it's also rewarding. When I have a theory that when an author puts the book out into the world, then it doesn't belong to the author. It's up to the reader to determine the value. And it's always really fun when someone says, yes, I got this. But what's also interesting is when readers bring other interpretations to the discussion, which I love, because many times I hadn't thought of that. They think, oh, well, you did this with this character, and I think, oh, did I? But I love that.
You did the link between some characters of your first novel, so this one.
Yes!
And that was great, I thought.
Thank you for noticing that. Yes, the character of Lina Vilkes from Ce qu'ils n'ont pas pu nous prendre appears in, or is mentioned in, Salt to the Sea. So if you read Between Shades of Grey, you might find something and some answers that you were looking for in the new book, but they can be read completely as standalone, but it could be considered a companion novel. And I loved that because when I write a book, I become so attached to the characters that they seem real to me. And then when I'm done writing, I still think about the characters. And then because I'm touring and readers are asking, well, what happened to the father? Or what happened? I thought, well, maybe I can give some answers.
Want to add some things.
In a very subtle, way. And some people realize and some people don't realize. So it's another, we call it an Easter egg.
Absolutely.
An Easter egg.
In your life, what books do you like to read, and maybe do you have some book recommendations for us?
Oh, book recommendations. I have pretty odd reading tastes. I like books that really sort of taunt my curiosity, that really make me wonder. So as a result, I like thrillers. And I think if I could write in any other genre, I think I'd try to write a thriller. I probably, but historical thriller.
Of course.
But so books that, books that I love. It's so hard to come up with on the spot. I love all of the young adult authors in our community. It's such a great time to be writing young adults. So everything that you guys love and are reading, I love too. But I also enjoy some more obscure historical titles. I loved a book by Jennifer Donnelly called A Northern Light. I love the author Meg Rosoff. I really enjoy her books, and I know she's published here in France. And then I read everything from children's picture books. There's a book by Alessandro Sana, a graphic book called The River, that is absolutely stunning. I absolutely love it. And I still read Roald Dahl. I own. Anytime a new edition is put out, I buy it. And my husband says, "What? You have this book?" No, but it's a new one.
Yeah.
You know, I love it.
Collection.
It's a collection. There's an author, Daphne du Maurier.
Yeah.
Do you know Daphne du Maurier?
Absolutely.
And she writes sort of a dark Victorian.
Like Rebecca. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Rebecca, and she wrote a short story called The Apple Tree. And these kind of haunting, creepy stories. I love those stories.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you read The Nightingale?
Yes,
By
Kristen Hanna.
It was so great.
It was so great, and All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Jour. Oh my gosh, fantastic. Both of those books, yes. I recommend those.
Speaking about World War II.
Yes, yes.
I was going to ask you, do you like other genres other than historical fiction? But you
I
answered.
do. I mean, I do love other genres. I love biography.
Yeah.
And I also love memoir. I think I am fascinated by how people share the story that is or was their life, and what they choose to share and how they choose to share it. And that's also because I really believe that story is important, and that knowledge of story, it just helps the world function better, and it gives me such insight into people's writing. I am a big fan of a writer. I don't know if he's well known here in France. His name is Rod Serling, and he created a television show called The Twilight Zone. I don't know if you've heard of this. They were short, maybe 30-minute TV shows, and they were, some were scary and some were creepy, but they all had a really important message, but it wasn't like a blatant message, but it was a very important message. And I read all of his work, and he had a way of combining genres that really interests me. And so maybe in the future, like I said, maybe I'll write a historical thriller or a historical romance. I don't know. Why not?
Just to end this interview, maybe, do you have an idea for your future book?
Yes, I have.
Can you tell us more about it?
Well, the truth is, I have a list of ideas. Like whenever I'm worried that I'm going to lose these stories. So whenever I come upon a story idea, I'll email it to myself, and then I have a running list. And I sort of summarize each story idea, and I'll even like put a picture in there. My current list is 26.
Wow.
I know. So I just need time. There's lots more books coming.
We hope so.
Yes, there are. I'm working on a book right now that's set in the 1950s in Spain during the Franco regime. People know a lot about Hitler and some about Stalin, but not as much about Franco. And I've come upon some really interesting stories that now I'm telling about this part of history. So that's one of 26.
Okay. Well, we are looking forward to it.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Ruta, for your time and for your kindness.
No, thank you so much, and thank you. An author has nothing without readers, and I think I can speak on behalf of all the American authors to say we're so grateful to all the readers in France who support us and follow us on Twitter and everything. We're so grateful.
So thank you so much. N'oubliez pas le dernier roman de Ruta Sepetys, donc Le Sel de nos larmes, qui paraît le 16 juin chez Gallimard Scripto. Voilà, merci d'avoir regardé et comme d'habitude, je vous donne rendez-vous pour une nouvelle vidéo. Salut.
Merci beaucoup.
Le nouveau roman de Ruta Sepetys qui revient aux sources, si je puis dire, puisqu'elle revient sur le thème avec lequel elle a commencé dans Ce qui n'ont pas pu m'y prendre, qui était son premier roman, à savoir la Seconde Guerre mondiale, vue du point de vue du conflit, de la zone de conflit à l'Est, en Europe de l'Est, donc à savoir sur le front qui opposait l'Allemagne à la Russie. Et donc, comme elle a des origines lituaniennes, elle s'attache à retracer toute l'histoire